in the course of your conversations with all these people, has the city provided any decision criteria about why they decide to do it? I mean, I know overall why they want to do it, but why did they draw the line here rather than there? Why is this an L3 and the other's an NR3? It's just a custom map that they draw every time.
Yeah.
This was all done on maps.
That's what it is.
The 34.
Yeah, let me wrap up the village real quick. And again, all of this information is online, but we wanted to summarize it because not everybody wants to go through the entire. Okay, right here. So the area just south of Bartell. See, this is there's a large old farmhouse, some new buildings, and a lot of substantial trees that I understand the neighborhood fought to preserve. This and a cul-de-sac that is separated. So this is a small, quiet residential area, substantial, significant trees, and the city is proposing allowing 40-foot tall flats, or 4-story flats or apartments, and we just think that's not appropriate yet. Again, we don't want, and they also were proposing 50-foot long Condon Way. Again, we're proposing that all of this around the perimeter really be downzoned because the neighborhoods themselves are in for substantial change with fourplexes, and we think that's enough. We'd rather the city focus their energy, focus on upzoning the core of the village because nothing has happened there. Let me just go over a couple other recommendations, and then what happened here? We have concern that transit frequency is currently quite limited within the village. There's a lot of potential, but relatively little service now. Concerned that with this much density and not corresponding increase in transit frequency, much of this development will continue to be auto-dependent. And we also have concerns that in the fourplexes, they're only requiring 1 or 2 on-site parking spaces. So just the change in the residential zoning is going to cause stress and more parking on the streets. So we feel like large areas are not, we're hesitant to allow this much change. That's not to say that we don't support zoning, but we want to support the development of the neighborhood centers, but not this huge perimeter. So this is North Magnolia. North Magnolia is a newly designated, because the area between Met Market and Government Way has had 3 and 4 and 5-story buildings built for over 40, 50 years. We feel that a mid-rise zoning is appropriate. That could lead to the eventual development of the Met Market into a grocery store with housing above. I think the zoning was currently 50 or 55 feet, 45 feet, and the city is proposing NC2 65. We support that along 35th, but we are really concerned again with this LR3 zoning because, as a lot of people know, in the area around Met Market, there's a lot of townhouse development. That seems to be in high demand also for the smaller homes. And the city is proposing a more substantial upzone going 2 to 3 blocks inward that would have the whole area opportunity for up to 50 feet tall. We do not agree with that because we think, again, the focus should be on 34th. So we support the NC 65 zoning and maybe a transition zone of L3 or L2, 40 feet. But these areas on the east and the west, and then further north, we feel they should either be L1, which currently I think they are, that allows townhouses, or leave it neighborhood residential. Let's see, this, what you're referring to, so this was an interesting thing. The city decided that the convergence of 28th and Blaine is a transit corridor, transit village, because it's the convergence of 3 lanes, and so they were proposing to upzone that entire stretch of neighborhood to allow LR3, which is 50-foot or 5-story flats. I have to say this neighborhood did a great job. They were the first ones to get letters out. They were the first ones to spread them. This caption was taken about 2 weeks ago, and you can see all the comments. So when you guys go to the map and you leave comments, they're going to show up, and you can click on the comments, and everybody was concerned. And we are going to reinforce that we agree with the recent comments from the neighborhood group that maintain this is not a frequent transit neighborhood. The remaining 3 lines that serve Magnolia do not run frequently, and therefore it shouldn't qualify as a transit-oriented village. The heart of this portion of the neighborhood is single-family homes with no commercial spaces or services, so we support the NR zoning, which is the lowest density, which will already potentially quadruple the existing number of residential structures over time, and we feel that that's enough. Also, with the uncertainty of the Magnolia Bridge, we are increasingly concerned with the current and future level of transit service. And I think Dave Mooring, who's the former land use chair, did some digging, and the city agreed they made a mistake, that shouldn't have been a designated transit corridor. So, again, kudos to the whole neighborhood, and when everybody gets together and shares their voice, I think the city heard. And that's what the meeting on December 4th is, with Bob Kettles, with Rebecca. It's with representatives of the neighborhood to make sure that that their voices is heard. We do not support an upzone of this caliber at all. Okay, and then last but not least, because there aren't enough voices in Interbay, so we kind of lend our land use expertise. The city is now, we've got designated Interbay Station, which you can see right here. So the existing neighborhood where you've got QFC, there's areas that are NC 65, but there's also areas that are zoned up to 85 feet in the heart of Interbay. With the coming of the Magnolia or the Interbay Station, the link station, which will happen hopefully in some of our lives, maybe by 2040, the city is considering upzoning the entire Interbay athletic field to NC 65. So I believe there's a condition where if they're going to replace, because the station is going to go there, they're going to have to do an in-kind replacement of the field. So the city's going to have to designate some area within, maybe it's in Interbay, maybe it's
Can't be too far away.
can't be too far, but maybe it's Smith Cove, but somehow the city has to replace the ball fields. We think that because it's actually a station and it should be transit-oriented development, we'd like to see a continuation of the heart of the Dravis neighborhood, which is 85 feet. So we feel that 85 feet would be appropriate. We also feel that the area directly across on 20th, that has the former Romeo's Pizza that's been sitting vacant for I don't know how many decades. And then also you've got the gas station and some single-use light industrial going to the north to the beloved boxcar. But if those are going to be within one block of a station, we feel that the zoning should change. And so we want to encourage them to either NC 65 or NC 45 so you have more opportunities for transit-oriented development.
Well, you've got Milady's too, which is one block to the west, so it makes perfect sense to go up.
So again, we're showing the city, I think it's important to show them that we are growth-minded, we support density where it should be, but we're really cautious because the city has tried to spread it a little too far into our neighborhoods. And what we maintain is that because the neighborhood is highly desirable for young families, and because we typically have larger lots than Roosevelt, Wallingford, Green, all those neighborhoods, we're likely going to see more significant change in the coming decades with this fourplexes. And we feel like that's enough, that's a substantial change. And so we want to kind of push back on the city, saying that they've overreached and the single family neighborhoods are going to be burdened enough, but we also want to make sure that our neighborhood centers really get developed and not diluted. So sorry, it's a lot to absorb, and I'm sorry I don't have a fuller presentation, but that's kind of in a nutshell what we've observed and what we're proposing. And the city, this isn't one and done. The city will update this in 10 years or 20 years, and hopefully in 10 years they'll look and Magnolia Village will be a healthy, vibrant, mixed-use village, and then we can look at what zoning. But
hello, my name is Peter. I am a resident at 28th and Hayes, and I just want to echo what Janice just said. I'm sorry, I missed your name, but
Scott,
you are awesome.
thank you.
I love the detail you've gone in here. My question is regarding the upzoning proposal in the 28th and Hayes area. How confident are you that your recommendation to not proceed with that upzoning will be accepted?
You know, I mean, the whole neighborhood's coming out against it, so, but we also, there was some emails that the city admitted that they made a mistake in the designation, that somehow either last year or the year before, the designation of their transit corridor, whatever the transit, the high capacity transit criteria, they shouldn't have been designated that. So we're kind of trying to build on that, saying, we know you made a mistake because I waited a half an hour this morning for my bus and it's not high capacity. So we don't know. We're just going to do our best, but I think the fact that Bob Kettle's assistant, that Rebecca's going to meet on the 4th with the team, it feels promising to us.
One more here.
Mine's just a quick clarification. So the area you're showing here, you said clearly you don't support the upzoning proposal. But am I correct in understanding you're supporting some change to the zoning? Because I didn't understand the phrase, which will potentially quadruple existing number of residential.
So if none of everything in dark is left alone, so everything around it that's in light is going to go from, right now, every 5,000 square foot residential lot qualifies for a triplex. And it's going to now be, per the governor, a fourplex. So without any upzone from the city, this new NR zone is a legal requirement. Every 5,000 square foot lot will be required to provide, they're not going to be huge houses. I think there's an FAR, floor area ratio limit, so it may be 5,000 square feet worth of product, but you can build up to 4 units of that. So already, so the city is taking that and doubling that in this, or tripling that, and saying, because we see this as a high transit corridor, we're going to allow buildings up to 50 feet. And so that's apartments, and that's a village, and that's not what that, so we were able to kind of push back on the fact that it's not high capacity transit, there are no services, and it's a single family neighborhood, or it's already a single family neighborhood, but with the base zoning, with the city doing nothing, there's going to be, you can do fourplexes on every lot, so. Okay, again, thanks everybody for the time.